Hey there, are you grieving the potential loss of a loved one or feeling overwhelmed with the loss of someone you care about? If so, you're in the right place. Lisa Hartung here, and this podcast is designed to guide you through topics surrounding death and dying. We'll dive into multifaceted aspects of grief, offering you a blend of personal stories, expert insights, and practical advice for your grief journey. May this be a safe space for you to learn, listen, and ask questions about your own life and loved ones. So grab your favorite beverage and let's dive in. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm super excited. Today, our special guest is Diana Esther. She is an author, poet, speaker, and transformational coach whose unique intuitive approach inspires others to reconnect with their inner light and purpose. After a miraculous recovery from lymphatic cancer and overcoming numerous life challenges, she now guides people toward greater health, peace, balance, and joy. Known as a true soul doctor, Diana teaches from lived experience, helping others melt away limitations, embrace resilience, and discover the brilliance within. So without further ado, welcome to the podcast, Diana.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for having me. I'm really looking forward to help as much as I can by sharing my life experience and my heart.
And right before we started recording, we were connecting on the magnitude of grief and how we've both lost parent, in your case, both parents, and how that can be so overwhelming at times. And so you're really speaking from the heart when we talk about these things and speaking from experience. But, the loss of your parents more recently is only in addition to your earlier life. And I would love for you to take us back because you've overcome multiple challenges throughout your life. And I think your story is so inspiring. And I'd love our listeners to kind of hear, what did little Diana, what aspirations did you have in life? And then there was this big, changing experience for you. And then how did you move through that? And then take us back, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. I can take you back in time when I grew up at the former Soviet Union at the time of darkness and Cold War. And as a child, I always wanted to express myself in music, dancing, and acting. And unfortunately, I've been denied all of it multiple times. And my little heart each time broke in millions of pieces. Because I was emotionally very sensitive child. I had no siblings, I had no toys, I had no emotional support from my parents because that was the way of life. They were busy making a living and living in the former Soviet Union, meaning working virtually 24/7 from morning to night. It was a very different way of living, very different life, and no time for emotional support. All the children were virtually grown up to take care of themselves, don't ask for help, manage everything what you can. I even took myself for the first day to the first class in school. Nobody even came with me. So that was something that it was normal, something that we all used to. It's very different here, so it's hard for people to understand. So after a while, one night I woke up with excruciating stomach aches. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was taken immediately into the hospital, and doctors thought I had acute appendicitis and wanted to operate on me. But thanks God they didn't. And after a few days of investigation, they realized that as a child, I have chronic liver and gallbladder disease. And they had no painkillers ready available. So it was a moment in time when I was all on my own, because parents were not allowed with children in the hospital. So I was lying alone with excruciating pain that I could not bear any longer. And my body virtually was getting ice cold, like I was leaving this planet. And I felt I just couldn't do anything about it. And in that very moment, something miraculous happened. The whisper came from within. I had no clue what was it, whether it was me making up or something else. I had no answer to it, but it gave me so much courage and so much something like a rope of hope to hold on to. And in that instance, the heat wave went through all my body, bringing me back to life. Ever since, I have never spoken to anybody about the incidents because why would you speak to someone who cannot give you any answers? Those days in Soviet Union, we had no spiritual or religious education. Everything was forbidden and life-threatening. It was no books, knowledge, no questions asked. So I kept all this incident to myself for the rest of my life. But this incident gave me so much inner trust and so much belief that there is something greater than myself, that if there is something in my life, I can always turn within. I can always touch this something very special in me and ask for help, because in my life, I could not ask for help anybody. It was just a way of life. You just have to be strong and resilient and whatever it is. It was very, very different way of living, but it was curse and a blessing
Mm-hmm.
because I felt, if I'm looking back at my life, the gratitude I feel, it's beyond human understanding because it helped me over and over again overcome every challenges in my life. I had no clue what was it. For many, many years, I was on a journey without understanding it was truly a spiritual journey and not understanding that I'm not just a physical being. I have a soul,
Yeah.
which nobody spoke about it in Soviet Union. Like we were brought up to believe we don't have a soul. We believed in Communist Party and Communist Manifesto, and that's how you grew up and brought up. But something didn't make sense to me. Something didn't click with me.
Right.
So all this child experience developed into connection, into conversation, into shaping my life in a way that you always have a friend to talk to. You are never alone. Because I always felt alone and lonely because I had no one to speak to. I had not even toys. I had one doll that called Annie, and this little doll was all my life. I look at my grandchildren that have millions of dolls. They've got so many presents. They don't take care of it. And it hurts me because I always teach them. I used to have one girl and it was my world. And I
Yeah.
used to take care of her as if it would be me. And, it's just a different way of life. I'm not saying the children shouldn't have a toy, but, when we grow to understand that everything we have, becomes part of us. And the way we treat something or someone, it's exactly the way we treat ourselves. So I'm always very kind of conscientious when I speak to my grandchildren. They're beautiful and they're wonderful, but they don't know the other side of life. And
Mm.
that's why I'm here, still, thanks God, here to help them and to teach them. Talking about my later life, you asked me about my cancer. Life took me out of Soviet Union at the time when it was impossible to live. Because I was ill child since very early childhood, I decided to become a doctor,
Mm.
to heal myself, to learn how to heal myself and how to help other children. Little did I know what life was preparing for me because I was born in a middle-class Jewish family. Since the formation of Israel as a country, the anti-Semitic wave just born out of nowhere in former Soviet Union not allowing Jewish children to study. It was like my heart crushed again in millions of pieces, not only feeling me unfulfilled, but without the future. It was a point where I just didn't know what to do, what to think, where to go, what kind of future I might have. So again, I turned within, and again, my inner guidance guided me to a group of young people who approached Israeli government in secret and got the invitations to leave Russia before it was available, before Russia took decision to finally let the Jewish people out. So obviously I was underage. I approached my parents. I kept it all as a big secret. And I, I said to them, I'm leaving this country.
Mm.
I have to supply the documents and go through the process. I can't do it on my own because I'm still underage. But if you would come with me, it would be the biggest dream of my life. But if you will decide not to, I will find a way how to run away. So not even understanding what it would cost to my parents to go through the process. I had no clue what would happen. They supported me, and
Mm.
we all applied to leave former Soviet Union. My father was high-ranking officer in the Navy all his life since he was 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
And he was immediately blacklisted and stripped of all his honors without allowedness to work. He was not allowed to work. It took us 4 years since we launched the application, not know if they will ever let us go. And one night, we received notice from Russian government, 48-hour notice
Mm.
to leave country with 3 suitcases and $250 of equivalent currency. No passport, no identities, no documents, virtually thrown out. And that trip out of Russia or Ukraine at the time, because I was born in the Ukraine, but it was one country, one Soviet Union, brought me into Vienna. But that trip was the most difficult and humiliating trip I've ever experienced in my life. At midnight, we were thrown out from the train that was taking us to Vienna, leaving us with suitcases in the wilderness in the winter when it's minus 20 at night. And we had to walk until the next village until the morning.
Mm.
And when we came in that village in the morning, it was a humiliating custom search. And it gave us, at the end of the search, 2 minutes to reach the second train to Vienna. That was beginning of my journey of my life. Many things has happened. It will take several hours for me to talk about it. I just wanted to say that this feeling of connection and this feeling of trusting my own feelings
Mhm.
was the biggest asset I had. It was nothing else I could offer but that. So years passed by. We went to live in Australia. We were Russian refugees. We never happened to reach Israel because the moment we arrived in Vienna, it was beginning of the 6 Day War, and then Yom Kippur War. So it was one challenge after another. And I felt responsible for my parents. I felt responsible for everything. I didn't know whether my decision was right because you're coming from one problems into another problems. So we were shipped to Italy, spent there 9 months, applying to various countries. And after 9 months, they end up living in Australia as Russian refugees. And I cannot say my gratitude to that country and to what happened there and the people we've met and the love that we felt that we never felt before.
Mm.
And just to see smiley faces for the first time in my life, because in Russia those days, nobody smiled.
Oh.
People just normally, if you smile, something wrong with you. You have mental issues. So it was like living in sadness and grief for something you don't even understand all your life. Forget about feeling of happiness and joy. I never experienced happiness and joy. Only many, many years later, I had no clue what this feeling, how it feels. Years later, I was a tourist in Europe. I came out of Australia, was Australian tourist, met my husband, got married. Many things happened since then. Obviously, both of us were young and wanted to build family. We opened business and worked, both of us, virtually 7 days a week. Because being a woman and the mother at the time, I had no much time for myself. And I
Mm.
was not thinking about me. I was a total giver, like most of the women are. You give to your family, you give to your husband, you work in business, you hardly have time for yourself. And one of those days, I begin not feeling well.
Mm.
Something was not right. But what was it? I didn't know. And again, I disregarded. I disregard a lot of warnings my body gave. It's normal. It's life as usual. That's what people do.
Mhm.
And one night I woke up and I have something on my left wrist, like a penny size thickening, like a mosquito bite kind of things. I started to pay attention to it, but it just wouldn't go away. I went to a skin specialist because I was about to take my child on the summer holiday to Calabria in Italy, where it was very hot. He looked at this spot, made some comments in Latin. I said, look, I'm sorry, I don't speak Latin. Can you tell me what do you think it is? He said, if you translate it, it was in Germany at the time, if you translate it, it means nobody knows what it is and nobody knows how to treat it. But here you have a cortisone cream. Yes, you have a cortisone cream. Try to apply it when you're on the sun. And when you come back, let me know if there are any difference. 2 weeks later, I came back to Germany. Nothing changed. He took biopsies, and after a while, it came back as inconclusive with lots of questions. If I have pets, if I have animals, if I have plants, any kind of allergy, they were thinking about allergic reaction. But since the moment they took the first biopsy, whatever it was, it did not like it. It started to grow and grow rapidly.
Mm.
So I went from one practitioner to another, was taking multiple biopsies, and each and every time it would come back as inconclusive.
Oh my gosh.
It was like a mystery. And a year later, I developed cough. I was coughing 24/7.
Mm.
My ribs was aching. I couldn't say a word without coughing afterwards. I become angry at medical practitioners, at medicine, and I always wanted to become a doctor. And I decided to give up on medical practice and stop going to doctors because there is no point. If they don't know and I don't know, and I tried everything I can. So one day, one of my cousins in Germany mentioned someone that she knew from her childhood. He was otolaryngologist. She said, "You're coughing. It's horrible. Something needs to be done about it." He's a friend. Go and see him. So I went to see him, and as everybody else, nothing, no conclusion. But he looked at my arm, which wasn't looking really great. It was really horrible. And he asked me, "What is it on your skin?" I said, I don't know what's on my skin. Nobody knows. And I honestly don't want to talk about it. So he suggested someone that he knew as a clinical diagnostician, very famous skin professor from Austria, that is still working. He's in his 80s, but still practicing. So the last resort, I said, this will be my very last visit to a practitioner. I went to see him, and I shall never forget this moment for the rest of my life. I walked into his office. I took my jacket off, and he was sitting on the other side of the room, big rooms surrounded by young students who learned from him. And the moment I walked in, he asked the question, where have you been for the last 2 years? And I said, what do you mean? I had chills going right through my body. I said, what do you mean? He said, call your family right now. You're staying in the hospital, you have lymphatic cancer. That's how it happened. I was frozen because it's never hit my mind that this could be a killer cancer. That was back in 90s when everything was different.
Yeah.
And it was not maybe as abundant as it is today. It never crossed my mind. I had a lot of thoughts, but it would never ever cross my mind it would be cancer. That night in the hospital was a black night of my soul.
Mm.
I cried myself out. I didn't know why. I felt as a victim. I had no clue why it happened to me, what caused the issue and problems, and why the cancer would choose me.
Yeah.
But it was a moment during that night that something within me kind of empowered me from within. And I began to speak to my cancer. And I said, I don't know who you are and why you come into my body, but I'm much stronger than you. And you cannot kill me. And it felt, nobody taught me, it was something intuitive coming from within me. And it felt like I builded the inner walls, protecting my inner organs from any kind of invasive penetration. It was the most powerful night I remember. The next morning, I went through investigation, and all my inner organs were clear. Everything was confined to my skin only. It was a very rare kind of lymphatic cancer that shows itself, manifests itself on the skin. I'd never heard of it, and at the time, it was only few people who were knowledgeable about this kind of new kind of lymphatic cancer. It didn't build tumors like lymphatic swellings, but it will build tumors on the skin.
Oh my gosh.
I went through a radiotherapy because that was treatment available at the time. I had no knowledge or understanding anything. I was in total fears. I had a 3-year-old child, and the last thing I wanted to not see her grow.
Yeah.
I've been told when I was released from the hospital and finished all my radiotherapy treatment, I've been told not to get pregnant again because whatever happening might be coming back once it will be healed, but it was healed on the surface.
Mm.
That's what they've healed. And years later, I got pregnant. Not because I did it, I wanted to get pregnant. It just happened. There is no way I would have aborted this child. And I have beautiful 2 children, and I'm blessed with it. So I kept the child. I have given a birth to a child, and 2 months later, my husband and I was to go on a skiing vacation just for a few weeks, leaving a baby and my younger daughter with his parents. And the morning of departure, I woke up and looked at my skin because I was always concerned about it. I saw the new tumors came out, exactly as they mentioned to me. They said to me that it might be hormonal changes that will bring the cancer back. At the time, I had no clue about any spirituality or understanding. I was like everybody else. When something like this happened, you feel cursed and
Mm,
you feel victimized and you don't know what to do with it. So I called my doctor and he said, you have to come immediately for a radiotherapy. I'm going on skiing vacation right now. I will come back in 2 weeks and see you. And he said to me, you're taking a very big risk,
mm.
which I did. When I came back 2 weeks later, I had tumors on my other side of the body for the first time.
Oh,
And radiotherapy was no longer available.
oh,
So I was told about chemo. And the moment they mentioned the word chemo, I went ice cold. Like my body said, no way. So I left his office and the chemotherapy treatment was booked 3 weeks ahead of me. I left the office and I spoke into the ether. I spoke into the universe, asking a question. If there is something in this world that can help me to heal, show me. And I let it go. And then I said to myself, where do I begin? I have no one to consult with. I have no one to talk to. My immediate family is scared for me. And if I will reject any kind of treatment, I will be marked as insane or irresponsible. So I said, what shall I do? Let's turn to alternative medicine. Let's see what alternative practitioners how they can help me. And it was those days when everything was different and not as advanced today, neither chemotherapy treatment, neither alternative medicine. It was very, very new. I went to see maybe 24 different people that gave me the same answers, that would love to help. They are not knowledgeable in this particular type of cancer. They don't want to give me any reassurances. But if I ever decide to go alternative way, I should not do any medical invasive treatments. Like you have to choose between both without any reassurance.
mhm,
So I had one person left on my list who was a head of Homeopathic Association of Germany. And I flew all the way to see her in Frankfurt. And I put it all my trust in that visit because there is no one else on the list. That was the end of the list. So I walked into her office and mentioned about myself, my journey. And she said exactly the same sentence as everybody else. And I broke into tears. And I said, I'm not walking out of your office until you come up with solution because there is nobody else I can see. And I know you know the answer. And we looked at each other, maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute, but it felt like a lifetime. And she said to me, why don't you try macrobiotics? I said, what is it? She said, it's a way to heal your body using food as energy.
mm,
All of a sudden, the heat wave came through me, telling me yes. Like all the cells of my body and all the organs was clapping and said, yes, this is the way, this is the solution. And it just got, I just feel this right now in my body. I ask her, who can help me because I have no knowledge about it. I don't know people in this field. She said, don't worry, go back to Berlin. Somebody will call you in a few days. Somebody did call me. His name was Hans Schmidt, and he was from Switzerland. And him, a woman from Italy, and one young man from Scotland created a little macrobiotic association in Germany because each of them recovered from a very difficult cancer and decided to dedicate their lives to help others to heal.
mm,
I had about 3-4 hours of consultation and question they asked me. I have never been asked by anybody else. It was questions like if my mother told me what she was eating when she was pregnant with me, or how the delivery went. All very, very unique and, very deep questions. After the consultation, they come up with a plan, and I had to change my life 360 degree without any knowledge.
Wow.
During the winter time again, I was not allowed to eat or to live the way I used to. Everything had to change. And I asked the help from them because there is no way I would be able to manage myself. They were preparing one meal for me to eat at midday and one meal to take back home, and explained to me what produce I'm allowed to eat, a lot of things in a way of living. Don't forget, I had 2 weeks left before the chemotherapy treatment, only 2 weeks. And by the end of 2 weeks, I had 40% success rate.
Wow.
40% success rate. And I went to see my practitioner and I had wings. I told him the whole story. I was so inspired. And he looked at me and said, "Do you truly believe in it? It's a witchcraft."
Mm.
In my experience, this kind of things, this is not serious. In my experience, even if it's getting better now, it will come back. And I got so hurt and so upset. And I asked him one question: tell me, if it looks so bad that I have to make my decision about chemotherapy treatment right here and right now, or I have a little time. And he said to me, the way it looks, yes, you still have a little time. I said, in that case, thank you so much for everything, but you shall never see me again. And I left and I went to those guys and I asked them, now that I know what you're doing, tell me how I can study it. Tell me how I can gain knowledge and understanding what I'm doing. And they found for me Macrobiotic Institute back the beginning of 90s in the forest in Holland, in the wilderness. I left my family, I left my children, and I went to heal and study for 4 months, living in a shoebox of 8 square meters. Yeah, with one bed, common showers, and studying not only macrobiotic, studying who I truly am, connecting to my soul in a way I've never connected before.
Mm.
And I felt flying. I felt flying so high that I had a feeling the separation becoming so big. How can I come back to the way of life I used to live? There is no way I can. But because I have two small children, I had a baby and a toddler, I needed I need some kind of technique. Do not accelerate the process of healing, but actually not stop it, but slowing down in order that I can come back home and I can continue living a family life. Because my journey took me, it's like from here into the universe,
Mm.
so high. I felt lots of joy and happiness. I felt freedom for the first time in my life, true freedom. But I had to find the way. So studying and I started to experiment on food, on my understanding of life, on using food as energies. I started to juggling and playing with it myself, and I've achieved great results. I slowed down the process, but it took no time. I've spent there 4 months. So by the end of that year, I was clear, completely clear. And it took me another 5 years to live consciously, really consciously, studying and learning and paying attention, because it's very easy to come back to old way of living, very easy.
Mm.
When I commit to something, I commit with my life. I just don't commit because, out of curiosity. It was something that saved my life. And it was something that opened window for me in the universe. and taught me a lessons of who I truly am. So I not only paid attention, but I've been grateful ever since.
Diana, I am in awe of the journey in which you've taken to be here today and that inner knowing and the full body yes, and actually understanding and feeling deeply that that's the right direction to take. And
100%.
you've had such a transformational life of resilience and in feeling that inner light. And now you teach others how to do that. And so I'd be interested in learning how you help individuals. I mean, even thinking back to your childhood of no one else is going to do this for me. I have to do it for myself. And having that intrinsic knowing that we are our own best advocates,
100%.
right? We are our best friends. We're our biggest cheerleaders. Really having that knowing within ourselves to keep going. So
Exactly.
I would love to hear how you work with, take this experience and wow, if everyone could have an experience like that, my goodness. It's being open, right? It's being open to trying new things, to going and asking questions and
I think the biggest thing that keep us all stuck, it's fear.
yes, yeah.
And when we understand, then fear is virtually made up. It's not real. I was thinking long time ago, I asked universe to explain to me what actually fear is.
Mm,
Fear is an emotion and it usually connect us to the past experience
mm,
or something in the future. But in the present moment, when you just there, present to yourself, fear has no power, first of all, has no power over you whatsoever. But it's only the mind keeping you stuck in the loop of the old experiences, something that happened previously, or my God, what is going to happen in the future. We make future every moment of our life.
true.
By every choices we take, by every thought we have, and by every emotion we feel. We actually create our future with our emotions. Fear is an emotion, but it's made up emotion. It's not real. It's something that it's made in our psychic, but it has a strong hold over us. And to me, there are two emotions that are equally powerful. It's fear and love.
Mm,
And universe showed to me fear, it's like a glue that makes you paralyzed.
mm,
When you allow the fear in, it's like become glued to yourself. And the only dissolvent that can dissolve the fear and show that it has no substance, it's love, the energy of love.
yeah.
So when we understand that fear is emotion without substance, but love, it's not only an emotion, it's the state of being. We virtually created with love and from love. And love is within our DNA. It's something that we're constantly searching for. Since we are babies, we don't know what it is, but because it's within us, we're constantly searching
Mm,
for love to give and for love to receive, because we are made of it. And I've been told if you take energy of love out of equation, our body would not be visible physically,
mm,
because we are not only physical being, we are energy being. It's like Nikola Tesla used to say, everything is energy, vibration, and frequency.
mhm,
But we look at life only from the physical point of view because that's what we learned. We have not learned from our home environment, from schools, from universities, that life is about energy. Everything in life is energy. And we are the energy being moving through life using our thoughts, emotions, and words. The moment we understand that energy cannot be killed, but only transformed, and we are the energy creators, we create this energy. We create positive and negative 24 hours a day. But if we are consciously connect to life and who we truly are, we consciously can create what we truly want, not what accidentally happening.
Mm.
Even cancers, when I'm looking back at my life, I was always emotional. I was always very concerned about how I feel, and I always pay attention to it. But everything I went through in life left some kind of wounds inside of me that were deeply embedded in me that one day caused that kind of lymphatic cancer. It was not just a stress of life. It was everything that happened before that that brought me to that moment where I had to learn connection to my body and to understand that every emotion that comes in stays within until I will know how to release it.
That release.
Until I will learn how to let it go, how to release, how to, first of all, identify these emotions.
Mm,
Because when you're emotional, you usually react in life and you act from that reaction.
mm,
You're not proactive. You don't know how to control your emotions. So life took me on a journey of self-discovery, explaining to me that emotions are very, very powerful tool. But people don't think about the emotional intelligence and they just live their life robotically, reacting in life and creating all sorts of negative experiences.
mm.
The moment we understand the power of emotional intelligence, we can take charge and we can be in control and we can study how not to react, but how to be proactive in life.
Yes. Is that mind mapping of proactivity something that you work with your clients on?
I work with my clients in many different ways, but I believe that simplicity is the easiest way to work with someone because
Mm.
not everybody is deeply spiritual and understand spirituality the way I do, but we can relate to something that's happening in our life on a daily basis. I also created 16 module online program that was filmed by me talking in a BBC studio in London. So it's professionally done that takes someone from very low level of consciousness and understanding into much higher level where he can become their own soul doctors. They will understand how to be able to understand what's happening in the body, how to diagnose any kind of emotional issues, how to detect, how to heal, how to accept, and how to let it go. Because everything is a process. You cannot teach a child mastery. It takes time for someone who has no knowledge about it,
Yeah.
slowly and gradually to build awareness and understanding of what we are as humans are. We
Mm.
actually have an incredible, resilient, super body. But because we know nothing about it, we are in the hands of doctors and practitioners that we trust with our lives, not because they're negative or they don't want to do good things. That's what they've learned. They hardly learn nutrition or other mortality. They learn how to actually treat a symptom with the chemical medications. And that is why most probably my destiny took me completely different direction, not allowing me to study medicine, not to become maybe as everybody else, and to open for me completely different way of life and understanding that there are infinite possibilities.
Mm.
And every day I'm like a child. I wake up every morning and I'm asking for more. I want to know more. I want to learn more. I want to understand more. I never satisfied with what I already went through and I know. So the world is, I feel it's magical. We are magical beings. And everything that we did to ourselves, we can undo it because it has something to do with us. We are not dependent on anybody else's allowing us to do it or not. We are in charge of our life and our body.
Mm.
But if we are in a fear mode, we feel stuck,
Yeah.
we feel glued to this negative experience, and we actually accept the verdict. And that's the problem. The moment you accept something,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes yours. If somebody tells you you have 2 months to live or you have 2 weeks to live and you accept it, that's going to be your verdict.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we have.
So many people, unfortunately, go immediately into the fear mode, and it's understandable. I've been there myself. I know how it feels. But this is not the end. And there are so many healing stories. I helped my mother to heal last stage of inflammatory breast cancer that had no return. She was given 2 months to live, and that was back maybe 18 years ago. She passed away from completely different cause. And it was miraculous story, truly miraculous. When you not only heal yourself, but you help somebody else to heal.
Yeah.
And it will take long time to talk about it, maybe for another podcast,
Yeah.
but but I can tell you one thing. I'm a great believer. I come from experience, and I can only say there is always another way. There is always another chance. And if somebody looking for solution, instead of focusing on the problem and on the fear, start focusing on the solution. Open your heart to the universe and just ask for help. Just say, if there is something I don't understand, if there is something I don't know, show me, guide me, teach me. If there is someone I need to learn from, bring this person into my field of awareness. Let me learn, let me connect to the power within.
Diana, I'm holding on to every word. You have such wisdom and such inspiration as well. And I love the idea that whatever we're told at the doctors, it doesn't have to be it.
Of
There's
course not.
so many possibilities. And sometimes when we get that terminal diagnosis, it can be soul crushing. And so to know that there is another option, you don't have to accept, you are not your prognosis.
No, no, you don't have to accept. But what's also important, you have to understand that illness did not come to kill you. It came to teach you.
Mm, yeah,
It's come to teach you. When you look at illness, not as a curse, but as a stepping stone to a higher consciousness, you open completely different world. You open a field of new possibilities.
yeah,
Because I can just tell you, everything, little disease, big issues, everything teaches to pay attention to our body, to our thoughts, to our feelings, and to our words, because words are spells. Everything, people watch what goes inside of the body. They watch their diet, what they eat, but they don't what come out of their body.
mm,
And this is actually become a curse in life. That would cause a lot of problems.
yeah.
We are spiritually poor. We
Mm,
don't understand who we truly are.
Mm-hmm.
We live on the outside, and that's how we find solution by choosing a better practitioner, somebody who knows better, who is more knowledgeable, but who knows your body and how you feel more than you do.
Right.
Nobody on this planet, no one.
Yeah.
And nobody teaches a power of emotions. Nobody teaches a power of spoken word. Nobody teaches about who we truly are.
Mm-hmm.
Everything would change as if by magic if people will connect to the power within. First of all, you will find it something that it's always with you. It doesn't cost you extra money. You don't need an insurance for it. And
Mm-hmm.
it always with you wherever you travel.
Yeah. Amen. I think
Amen. Amen. Amen.
whatever you listen to, that's it. I feel like I could listen to you forever, Diana. I'm really, really grateful for you sharing your light with us and for showing us and demonstrating how there's more and our energy, right? We're all energy and light beings, and how we interact with one another and love ourselves and think about life. And for our listeners who are interested in working with you and learning more about your practice, how can they get in touch with you?
I've got a website that's called thediamondwithin.co.uk. All my social medias are on it. I also have online program that can be exceptionally helpful to them, and I will guide them through the program. I will offer in the program, including my private coaching, 6 hours of my private coaching within the program, helping them and taking their hands and taking them from zero, wherever they want to go, as far as they want to go.
You are such a gift to this world. And I wish that I had met you 5 years ago when mom started getting sick. And I think anyone, regardless if they have a terminal illness or not, can learn from you and from the lessons that you teach. So thank you again for being such a bright light in this world. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Giving Grief Grace. If you found the content interesting and think it could help a friend or a loved one, please share it with them. Subscribe to this podcast and get a weekly dose of positivity. And while you're at it, please leave a review. If you enjoyed the show and want to support me financially on my grief journey, I'm raising funds for Project Purple, a nonprofit whose mission is to see a world without pancreatic cancer. I'm doing this by running the New York City Marathon in November 2025, and I'll leave a link to my fundraising page in the show notes. If you've lost a loved one and are looking for support in an online community, consider joining our free private Facebook group, Giving Grief Grace. May you be kind to yourself in the week ahead and give yourself grace. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.